Beleza.
Ok. Seria a Fórmula 1. Hello and welcome to Porsche Cup C6 Bank MasterCard. We are at the José Carlos Pace circuit, known worldwide as Interlagos, with its 4,309 meters and 11 turns run counterclockwise. In just a bit, 47 drivers will be competing here. First, 26 drivers will hit the track in the Carrera Cup, and then 21 will battle for the checkered flag in the Sprint Challenge. Earlier today, Nicolas Costa got pole position for Carrera Cup, followed by Marcel Miller and Werner Magbauer. Later on, Marcelo Tomassoni will lead the field in Sprint Challenge, with Rubatan Jr. in second and Christian Moore in third. And you are going to watch both races with me, Sergio Lago, and with Carlos Costa. Hello, Carlos.
Hello, Sergio. Very big pleasure to be here with you to broadcast one more round of the Brazilian Porsche Cup series, the first round actually of the 2023 Sprint Championship that we will have, of course, with the Carrera Cup Championship and also the Sprint Challenge Championship. First, we have the Carrera Cup race. Of course, the expectation for both of the races actually, they are very good, obviously because of the level of competitiveness that we saw in the qualifying session earlier today. Actually, the final qualifying session, we had under a bit of rain, but anyway, Marcelo Tomassoni was able to claim pole position. Let's hear from Renata Diniz, our pit reporter.
Eu já vou completar, acho que a quinta aqui, Luke. É um prazer estar com vocês e é muito bacana ver tudo o que está acontecendo, a quantidade de pilotos no nosso grid, pilotos que eram da Challenge vindo para a Carrera Cup, novos pilotos também estreantes na categoria. Então, hoje é um dia que promete bastante. Vou estar aqui mostrando todas as informações para vocês em tempo real.
Yeah, just a highlight about the mood in the pit there. Actually in the main straight, they will align shortly, even though the start is a rolling start. But anyway, 19 years of the Brazilian Porsche Cup series, so we have to celebrate, and also considering the number of cars that we have in both championships, especially this Carrera Cup Championship, the most competitive one, and of course, as you said, 26 cars, Sergio, so it's quite a lot, and we have 21 cars in the Sprint Challenge Championship. Let's hear from Renata once more.
Mas espera só um pouquinho. Antes da gente começar oficialmente, nós temos os treinos pré-temporada. Isso mesmo, porque sempre pensando em inovar, a Porsche Cup Brasil traz muitas novidades para esse ano, principalmente no nosso grid. Muitos pilotos que antes corriam na Sprint Challenge agora estão mudando de categoria e vão correr na Carrera Cup. Ou seja, eles vão estrear no Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 992. E na Sprint Challenge temos muitas caras novas chegando por aqui. Sim, pilotos que vão estrear na nossa categoria. E esse dia é muito importante, porque eles estão tendo o primeiro contato com o carro, indo com o carro para a pista. Então a intenção aqui é que todos tenham a oportunidade de tirar aquela poeirinha que ficou aí no período das férias, se adaptarem aos novos carros e terem o maior tempo de pista possível. E falando em novidades para a temporada 2023, seguindo a tradição de desenvolver talentos do esporte a motor no Brasil, A Porsche Cup Brasil apresenta o seu mais novo projeto, pioneiro na América do Sul, trazendo o programa mundial da Porsche, o Young Racing Academy, para o Brasil. E o piloto escolhido para esse programa, que é a etapa inicial do já renomado Porsche Junior Program, é a Antonella Bassani. Antonella Bassani, 16 anos apenas, mas já tem 12 de carreira. Conta pra gente a tua história com o automobilismo, Antonella.
Bom, meus pais sempre foram fã do automobilismo e minha irmã um dia foi testar um kart, bateu no árvore, não quis mais e eu pedi se eu podia correr. Assim meu pai foi me levando nos fins de semana a correr, treinar e aí surgiu, com 9 anos eu comecei a vir para São Paulo e ver que aquilo lá era realmente para mim uma coisa que eu queria levar como profissão para sempre. E fui gostando e fui sempre cutucando ele, pai, corrida, 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 corrida. E ele tá aqui me incentivando sempre.
Sensacional. E como que foi a sua trajetória? Você começou no kart?
Eu comecei no kart com 4 anos, aos 14 mesmo que eu comecei a mudar, assim, eu fiz teste de fórmula e em algumas outras categorias.
Como é que está sendo para você receber essa oportunidade de estar aqui na Porsche Cup, nesse programa tão legal que é para revelar e desenvolver novos talentos? Como que você encarou e como que você está encarando?
Bom, eu não vou negar, eu tô me tremendo desde quando começou a semana. Mas assim, tá sendo algo muito importante para mim, foi uma responsabilidade que eles me deram, assim, confiaram muito em mim, eu só tenho a agradecer a todo mundo pela confiança, principalmente a Bia, que me ajudou muito a estar aqui hoje. E eu não sei muito o que falar sobre isso, porque assim, olhar para trás e ver onde eu tô hoje em dia é algo que me surpreende. Mas assim, eu andei hoje no carro, não queria sair de dentro, não vejo a hora do segundo e terceiro treino. Mas tudo certo.
Quero saber o que você sentiu, quais foram as primeiras impressões do carro?
Bom, eu andei com o piloto do meu lado, né? A primeira vez eu fui no carona. Eu nunca tinha andado no carona no carro. Eu andei num Porsche ainda, meu Deus. Aí ele foi frear na reta oposta. Eu falei assim, não vai frear. Ele não vai frear nunca? Não vai frear nunca? Que o freio é tão bom, mas tão bom, que quando o freio parou, e eu falei, nossa, minha cabeça foi pra frente, assim. Aí eu falei, opa, gostei.
Tô numa máquina de verdade.
Tô numa máquina que, nossa senhora.
E aí, só tava esperando a sua vez de pilotar. E como é que foi?
Bom, quando eu pilotei com ele do meu lado, eu ainda tava meio assim, se der uma rodadinha assim, vai ficar feio pra mim, né? Mas do mesmo jeito tava acelerando, tava nem aí pro que ele achasse ou não. Tava prestando muita atenção nas dicas dele, obviamente.
Sensacional, seja muito bem-vinda, que o programa seja incrível para você e que alavanque ainda mais a sua carreira.
Obrigada a vocês pela oportunidade. É uma chance que não vou deixar escapar, principalmente tocar a Porsche com a Mobil juntas. Então, assim, são duas responsas imensas e comigo vai ter alguns resultados positivos aí esse ano.
Bom, Antonella, obrigada, viu?
Obrigada a você.
Yeah, there we heard a recorded interview with Antonella Bassani, and she's a driver of the Young Racing Academy. I said Young Driver Academy earlier today, but it is called Young Racing Academy, that is new in the 2023 season of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. Antonella Bassani, a 16 years old female driver. She is a two-time finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program. So even though she's quite young, she has already 12 years of experience in motorsport, coming from the go-kart time that she had in Brazil. And of course, she was talking a little bit about how anxious she is to make her debut. She will be competing in the main class of the Sprint Challenge Championship, so the race that we will have right after this Carrera Cup race. But anyway, it was nice to see her talking about her emotions with this car. The fact that she had earlier this week a lap, or a few laps actually, with a driver by her side. Actually, she was watching his drive in the first moment, and then she drove, of course, taking into account what he said to her. But anyway, the expectation of Antonella and her family as a whole, it is quite big, and also an interesting story because she started racing after her older sister. She crashed into a tree with a go-kart, but anyway, she got passionate with racing, about racing and so on, and then there she is, a young Racing Academy driver of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. And this Young Racing Academy is something that comes from the Porsche Super Cup worldwide. So interesting to see, one of the new faces of this 2023 seasons. And prior to the interview, Renata Diniz, our pit reporter, was talking about the fact that we have some new drivers and of course Antonio Junqueira and others in the Sprint Challenge Championship, but also the guys that raced in the Sprint Challenge Championship last year and now are racing in the Carrera Cup, such as Raja Mascarello and Nelsinho Marcondes, for example. Sergio.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story, the one of Antonella Bassani. She is going to start 11th in the Sprint Challenge race that we'll have later on. We see there Miguel Paludo, 7-time Porsche Cup champion. He's probably one, he's one of the most accomplished drivers in the category, but he will be facing tough competition this year. Last year, he finished third behind the champion Marcel Miller. Marcel Miller was second.
Para a temporada
Let's listen to Renato.
E agora é uma mudança no carro, isso mesmo. Temos novos escapamentos nos carros da categoria Carrera Cup. Teremos um escapamento usado exatamente igual lá na Super Cup na Europa. E isso vai trazer muito mais emoção naquele ronco do motor. Deixa eu falar com o cara que cuida de tudo isso, né? O Zé, ele é líder do setor aqui de motor e câmbio. Zé, essa mudança teve que ser feita rápida, foi uma decisão aí tomada. E como que você movimenta a equipe? Quanto tempo demorou isso?
Foi uma decisão rápida. Pegamos todos de surpresa, mas conseguimos dar conta do recado. Fizemos a troca dos 29 carros em 3 dias para trazer um ronco melhor para a torcida, o pessoal se envolver mais com o nosso automobilismo, que cresce cada dia mais.
Agora vamos saber o que os pilotos acharam disso. E aí, Marcel, a gente quer saber, teve ou não teve diferença no ronco do motor?
É isso que eu quero saber também, porque o ronco tá mais encorpado, tá mais legal de pilotar. Tenho certeza que toda a galera e o público aí vai gostar muito dessa novidade.
Tá mais emocionante para você que pilota?
Ah, com certeza. A gente tá sentindo mais o carro com essa mudança aí.
Bom, Gil, você já teve a experiência de pilotar na Super Cup. Então eu queria que você comentasse como foi quando você chegou lá e ouviu o ronco do motor no ar e agora essa adaptação sendo trazida para cá.
Eu me surpreendi muito porque até dentro do carro, na Super Cup, você sente uma vibração diferente por conta do escapamento, né? E eu acho que isso acaba até dando, a gente sabe que a gente está na mesma velocidade, mas a sensação para o piloto, ela acaba sendo um pouco mais de emoção, talvez de velocidade, quando você está sentindo essa vibração e percebendo que esse som ele é mais robusto, ele é mais forte, tem alguma coisa realmente acontecendo ali naquele motor, né? Então acho que seguir na mesma avenida que eles estão com tanto sucesso na Super Cup aqui na Cup do Brasil, eu sou um fã e apoio a iniciativa 100%.
Gustavo Fará manja muito de escapamentos, certo? Já correu fora do Brasil, não na Super Cup, mas na Suíça. Então eu queria que você fizesse um comparativo, Gu. O que você está sentindo do carro agora com esse novo escapamento?
Eu acho que o escapamento num carro aspirado, você ganha muito mais resposta e muito mais velocidade no final da reta. É um compromisso, você perde um pouquinho do torque na saída de curva, mas você ganha muito mais resposta do acelerador. E existe uma questão da vibração aqui do carro, do motor, do que o piloto sente dentro do carro. Então você tem uma conexão hoje muito mais intensa com o motor e com o carro, em termos de saber onde que está a rotação, como é que está a potência do motor, tendo essa resposta melhor acústica do escapamento.
Com esse escapamento novo agora, tá trazendo mais emoção para vocês pilotos e para quem assiste também, né? A gente já percebeu aqui o som diferente.
Eu imagino que sim, porque como ele estava no ano passado, que é na restrição máxima, o carro perde bastante dessa emoção. Hoje o que a gente tem aqui é um sistema que não polui mais, não faz mais barulho, né? É apenas uma sensação que realmente você fica mais perto do motor do carro.
And there it was, one of the good news that we have for this 2023 Porsche Cup Brazil series is the new exhaust type that comes from the Porsche Super Cup. Louder, so the cars are louder for the public in the stands, and of course some of the drivers, they were talking about this news that we have this year after the mechanic that was talking a bit about the fact that they had to change the exhausts. But anyway, Marcel Miller was talking about this new exhaust, and he felt that it is indeed louder. Georgios Frangoulis, that has already raced in Porsche Super Cup, if I'm not wrong, in Austria. He was talking about the fact that he can feel a different vibe inside the car, even inside this Porsche 992 that we have in this Carrera Cup Championship. And also Gustavo Farah was talking a little bit about the fact that the pollution is also a focus. So this new exhaust type is better in that matter. And also the fact that the response in terms of the throttle, it is a little bit better as well, apart from the fact that even though they lose a bit of acceleration in the exit of the corners, they can control the throttle a little bit better. Sergio.
Yes, Carlos, and one nice thing is that this will be the
Exatamente,
second
Luque
year
Monteiro. Você
that
estava
these
falando do
drivers will
semblante,
be
né? Ele
with
estava
the
super
992,
emocionado na
so they are
entrevista, a hora
ready.
que ele fez a
This
pole.
is
Agora já está um pouco mais
Costa,
concentrado,
who is going to
agora
start in the
mais no
pole position.
racional, né, Nicolas?
Não, com certeza. A gente deu um passinho para frente, largando em primeiro. É muito importante, obviamente, mas o mais importante é vencer a corrida. Então agora a concentração total para largar bem, que acho que é a parte crucial, e tentar gerenciar bem a corrida, se tudo der certo, levar o primeirão aí.
É, porque você já estreou na nossa categoria, mas na Endurance. Então na Sprint, primeira temporada sua aqui, e tem umas pequenas feras atrás de você. Então é acelerar e se defender ao mesmo tempo.
Pois é, a galera que está correndo aqui, a galera que está aí atrás é muito boa, muito forte, muitos pilotos experientes. Não só experientes, mas muito rápidos também. Tem que respeitar, mas não temer ninguém.
Isso aí, muito bem. Obrigada, Nicolas. Boa corrida. Luque.
Now we heard from Nicolas Costa, the pole sitter of the main class and overall as well of this Carrera Cup opener that we will have at Interlagos this Saturday. He was celebrating his pole position as well. And Renata asked him about the feeling because he's now making his debut in the Sprint Championship of Porsche Cup Brazil. Now an extra challenge, and with Marcel Miller right behind him, one of the fiercest competitors that we have in this series.
Na verdade, vai tentar fazer uma largada limpa, né? Aqui em Interlagos é sempre tenso essa primeira curva, né? O S de Interlagos. Então é tentar fazer uma largada limpa, tentar ir para cima do Nicolas aí, e com certeza vamos tentar ir em busca da vitória.
Ele falou que sabe as feras que vem por trás, mas ele não tá com medo não.
Vamos lá, vamos para cima.
Aí, ó, concentradíssimo. Valeu, Marcel, boa corrida. Luque.
Yeah, Marcel Miller highlighted the fact that the first corner is very important right after the race start because we have the Senna S's actually, so it's an important part of the track and a good overtaking point as well. So let's see if Nicolas Costa will get out
aqui, tô
Senna S's
aproveitando.
ahead
Enquanto ele ainda tá fechando o
of
macacão,
Marcel
queria dizer
Miller.
que eu não sei se vocês perceberam, mas o Werner
Now we
Neubauer
hear
veio
from
com um
Werner
texto que ele era
Neubauer,
no final do ano
P3 in this
passado.
grid.
Eu também achei, irmão mais novo, não é mesmo? Luque, eu não sei como alguém volta das férias mais magro. Isso tudo é preparação, pensando aqui na temporada para começar com tudo?
É, o negócio é que a Renatinha ficou de férias até ontem. E aí ela acha que a gente volta assim. Mas quem voltou de férias em janeiro tá na malhação há muito tempo já.
Até parece. Mas e a preparação toda, Werner? Qual a cabeça para essa temporada?
É uma cabeça de construção. Cada etapa é uma batalha, então é corrida por corrida.
O carro está encaixado?
O carro está encaixado, o quali não foi exatamente como a gente queria, mas estamos no jogo.
É só feras aqui na frente. Obrigada, Werner. Luque?
Now we heard from Werner Neubauer. He was asked about his pretensions for the 2023 season, and he said that he intends to think race by race because it's a long championship, even though we don't have a lot of race weekends, but we have more than one race per weekend. So it will be a challenge for him as well. He had an interesting year in 2022, but he wasn't consistent enough to fight for the title against Marcel Miller and Enzo Elias. But we all know that he's a very fast driver, as we hear Welcome to the Jungle from Guns N' Roses in this grid.
Yes, Werner Neubauer ended up finishing in 8th last year, so it was not a good year for him. He's a way faster driver than that, but let's see what he brings to this season, Carlos, because as he said, he's been preparing since January. So he is really getting ready for this season. He is constructing and trying to improve and starting third, even though he seemed a little bit disappointed. I think it's a very good starting position for him on the inside there of the start. In third, he'll start alongside Miguel Paludo behind the first row made by Nicolas Costa and Marcel Miller. So it's a very good position for Werner Neugebauer that we know that he's a very fast driver, Carlos. Sometimes he commits some mistakes, and that's a problem of him being very aggressive. But he's very, very talented, with no doubt.
Yeah, that's it. He has to mix this aggressive approach that he has to racing with consistency as well, because of course you cannot have a bad round in such a competitive championship. So if you don't score in one race or even a whole race weekend, then your whole season is very compromised. So let's see if Werner Neugebauer will be able to be a little bit more consistent, as we see an aerial view of Interlagos, a very nice track actually.
Yeah, you are watching the Porsche Cup C6 Bank Mastercard. First, we'll have the Carrera Cup race. All the cars are already aligned. Interlagos with its 4,309 meters, 11 turns run counterclockwise. There were made some changes in this racetrack from its inception, from its start, but it's been like that for a while. There you see, there is the famous, right on your left here, the S of Senna. The temperature is 26 degrees Celsius, and the track it has Celsius, and the track has 38 degrees Celsius, way more than early in the morning, Carlos, when we broadcasted the qualifying session. I remember there it was, I believe, 26 or 27 degrees Celsius, and now it's 38 degrees Celsius. So it's really hot there, even though the weather is overcast. And we see there the 26 cars that will start in this first Carrera Cup race in 2023. Tomorrow we'll have the second race for both Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge. So be able to follow us all this first round of the Sprint Championship for Carrera Cup. Brazil, the races, Porsche Cup C6 Bank Mastercard has the Sprint Championship as well as the Endurance Championship. So it will be 9 rounds overall, 3 for Endurance and 6 for the Sprint races. And as you said, Carlos, very nice aerial view. While we saw before the 3-minute plaque there, the 3-minute mark being shown to the drivers.
Yeah, and that's the middle sector of the Interlagos track, right below the main straight, as we see the cars aligned there on the grid. It is an interesting track also because of this ups and downs that we had throughout the whole lap, and of course it's very known worldwide because of the Formula One Grand Prix. As you see there, an onboard camera with Nicolas Costa. It will be interesting to see the race start from his point of view, because of course he has to position his car in a good spot there in order to prevent Marcel Miller's or Werner Neugebauer's charge. Of course, they are both of them actually very experienced drivers in this grid, and as you said, Werner Neugebauer very aggressive, and Marcel Miller is very consistent. We were talking about the fact that Neugebauer lacked a bit of consistency last year, but Marcel Miller had it throughout the whole year, even though in the final stages, the final rounds, he wasn't able to compete with Enzo Elias, that was in a very good momentum and eventually ended up being the champion of 2022. Enzo Elias that will now race in the Stock Car Pro Series in 2023.
Yeah, we saw also there an onboard camera from the Marcel Miller's car. So as you said, it's going to be very interesting. This is a very challenging circuit. First turn is called the S of Senna from Ayrton Senna, but it's left, but right after there is a right, and after the S of Senna there is a left. So it's very challenging for the drivers. Usually we have a very good starts here in Interlagos, and with this field, Carlos, of 26 cars, it will be tough for the drivers, mainly for the drivers who are back there, but they will be able to make it. I'm sure about that. Race is set for 25 minutes plus 1 lap. So all the races of the Sprint Championship are 25 minutes plus 1 lap. There You see the 3-minute mark still there. So soon we'll have the 1-minute mark. We see that most people are out of the track. We only have the drivers. Some doors are open, probably due to the warm weather. But we are almost there, Carlos, and we will soon have the formation lap.
Yeah, well, you have the formation lap, 1 minute sign, if I'm not wrong there. Yeah, precisely, that's it. The expectation is quite good, but of course, we always have to be cautious with race starts with that many cars. We have 26 cars in this Carrera Cup Championship. So throughout the whole pack, it may be dangerous in some situations there, especially in the middle of the pack. But we are talking about the most competitive of these championships of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series and the most skilled drivers as well. Let's see the formation lap, sorry, right behind the safety car there. And it's time, Sergio. I have a good feeling about this race.
Yeah, it's time. Let's see the starting grid. Nicolas Costa is the pole position. He'll be alongside Marçal Miller. Behind them, Werner Bauer and Miguel Paludo. Third row, Rodrigo Melo and Lucas Salles. After them, we will have Alceu Feldman and Lineu Pires. And on fifth row, we have Jorge Frangulis and Nelson Monteiro. Sixth row, Franco Giafone and Nelson Monteiro. Actually, it was, Nelson Marcondes there. The third row. Francisco Horta and Roman Zinkiewicz. Then behind them, Peter Ferter and Eamon Darwich, both new in this category. Edu Menossi and Raijan Mascarello, 17th and 18th. Behind them on the 10th row, we have João Barbosa from the rookie class and Paulo Souza. Then on the 11th row, we have Edu Guedes and Bruno Campos, both from the rookie class. Ricardo Fontanari didn't fare well during qualifying, starts in 23rd. And then in the last row, we have Piero Cifali and Nasser Abultaif. So this is the starting grid for the first race of the 2023 season of Porsche Cup C6 Bank MasterCard Carrera Cup category. We'll have always in the Sprint Championship 2 races per weekend. First race is now on Saturday. You're watching it, and then the second race will be this Sunday, both the second race for Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge, Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. And just before the race started, I would like to highlight Lucas Salles qualifying this morning. He's from the sport class, the intermediate category there, since we have the main Carrera Cup class, the sport class, and the rookie class, and he's in between the pack of the main Carrera class drivers. So nice position for Lucas, and it's time, Sergio.
Yes, cars are all aligned side by side. Nicolas Costa is the pole position. He's on your right side right now. The yellow Porsche on his side is Marçal Miller. Behind Nicolas Costa is Werner Neugebauer. Behind Marçal Miller is Miguel Paludo. Safety car, go to the pits. Always ready for the start of the race. Let's wait and see. And we have green in Interlagos. Nicolas Costa trying to keep first position. Alongside him, we have Marçal Miller and Werner Neugebauer on the inside, trying to get the second position. Good start by Werner Neugebauer. Apparently, he gets the second position right behind Nicolas Costa. Miguel Paludo is fourth. And there is a driver there that falls behind. We'll find out who. But anyway, we have there, yes, excellent start for Werner Neugebauer. And he already challenges Nicolas Costa for the lead. Goes wide, Werner Neugebauer. What a battle for first position. What a start by Werner Neugebauer. Let's see what he can do. Marçal Miller is right behind him. And Werner Neugebauer almost got the lead, but Nicolas Costa on the outside tries to stay ahead. Side by side, we have the visual for Marçal Miller's car, and almost 3 side by side there. What a start of the race. Vernon Neugbauer is the first place, followed by Marcel Miller now, and then Nicolas Costa falls to third position. Vernon Neugbauer, what a start! Carlos Costa leading the way in this first race of the season, Carrera Cup 2023 in Brazil. What a start! I'm impressed, Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. Spectacular race start for Werner Neugbauer. Very aggressive, but he was very clean as well. He didn't commit any mistake there. And even though he forced his way to pass Nicolas Costa, he didn't make anything wrong there. So a clean, aggressive start, and what a good job done by Werner Neugbauer. Now Marcel Miller on the charge, but anyway, Nicolas Costa wasn't able to retain his lead. Now P3 right behind Marcel Miller that started second and is currently second as well, and Werner Neugbauer. And I would like to highlight the fact that we had a clean start throughout the whole pack. Whoa, not now, Sergio.
Problems there. We had a good start, and there we have a problem. That was Franco Giaffoni, I believe, that we had a problem with. There we see the leaders. One of those cars were Franco Giaffoni. And big battle for first position. Big battle for first position. Nicolas Costa for sure wants to get back. And look at Nicolas Costa on the inside of Marcel Miller. Will get second position, and Miguel Paludo tries to go from fourth to third alongside Marcel Miller, but Marcel Miller keeps the second place, and Nicolas Costa is second now. He's working to recuperate, and Lucas Salles is third. Let's see what happened there, Carlos. It got the touch, yeah, it was Franco Giaffoni who spun there. What a problem for Franco Giaffoni right at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, touch from behind there. I confess that I didn't see who was the other driver, but he touched Franco Giaffoni's car. And of course, Franco Giaffoni lost the control because it was right before the breaking point of the first leg of the Senna S. So that happened. And then when Giaffoni spun, he hit the other car involved in the incident. As we see there, an interesting battle in the first leg of the Senna S as well. Very nice race so far, Sergio. And we have to highlight as well Nicolas Costa, because he lost 2 spots right after the race start and was able to refocus, and now he's currently second after passing Marcel Miller that was able to overtake the pole seater, but now he's back to the third spot right behind Nicolas Costa. The main driver so far is obviously Werner Neugbauer leading the pack overall, but under pressure from Nicolas Costa in this moment, Sergio.
Yeah, the difference is minimum. The first 4 cars are separated by about a second. Then we have Lucas Salles in 5th, Alceu Feldman in 6th. He started 7th, so it was a good start for Alceu Feldman. And then we have Jorge Prangulis, Rodrigo Melo, Lineu Pires, and Nelson Marcondes. But look at the top 4. They're really in a very close battle for the lead. As we see, Werner Neugbauer starting very, very well his 2023 season. But Nicolas Costa, he's right there, Carlos. He's trying to recuperate first position, and he's showing that he's being really fast this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. And Renata Diniz, our pit reporter, informed us that Franco Giaffoni is now in the pit lane to try and fix his car in order to get back to the race. Let's see if he will be able to do so. That crash wasn't that strong, but of course it has an impact in the structure of this Porsche 992 car that we have in this Carrera Cup Championship.
Werner Neugbauer leads the way, followed by Nicolas Costa. Best time from Werner Neugbauer was 1:37.793. Best time from Nicolas Costa was a little bit better, 7:82, but the difference is about 100 of a second, so it's not that much. And Nicolas Costa is trying everything to get back the first position. He lost it right in the first lap, but he's doing his best to get ahead of Werner Neugbauer. But he has to be very, very careful, Carlos, because Right behind him in third is Marcel Miller, and behind Miller is Miguel Paludo. So these four drivers, they're like almost one car. They're very tight pack there in the first four positions, and then Lucas Salas is in fifth, a little bit behind.
Yeah, and there we
see the
see.
image, pardon, Carlos, when Nicolas Costa got ahead of Marcel Miller. Go ahead, Carlos. Pardon.
No, it's interesting to note the fact that Nicolas Costa got an aggressive line there in the inside line of that corner, right in the middle sector, the slowest sector. So theoretically, it provides more overtaking spots there, and that's what Nicolas was able to do, because of course he put his car in the inside line, and then Marcel Miller couldn't do anything apart from staying side by side, but the corner was a right-hander and he was in the left part of the racing line there. So Nicolas was able to do, and of course an interesting maneuver there in terms of overtaking Marcel Miller. But anyway, Werner Neubauer seems to be managing this lead very well, because Marcel Miller is trying to get closer to Nicolas Costa in order to attack. But of course, Miguel Paludo is there as well. So if any one of the top three makes a mistake, Miguel Paludo will be able to profit a little bit.
We see there the battle for fifth position. Lucas Salles is fifth, but right behind him is Alceu Feldman, who is from Curitiba in the south of Brazil. And behind them we have Jorge Frangulis having a very good start of the season. He is there in a solid top 10, 7th position for him. And a little bit behind them, we have Rodrigo Melo with the Porsche number 29. But Rodrigo Melo is a little bit behind, so he's working hard to get to the cars ahead of him. And we see there's still Lucas Salles. Now Lucas Salles and Alceu Feldman were able to open a little bit of a gap to 7th place, Jorge Frangulis.
There we hear this louder Porsche cars of the 2023 season because of the new exhaust type that we have that comes from the Porsche Super Cup. That was something that our pit reporter Renata Diniz was talking about in the beginning of this broadcast. And of course, people, family, friends, pit crew in the garages, they get very anxious in this moment of racing, as we see there a driver spinning.
Yeah, it's the car of Peter Ferter. We see him spinning, and for sure he'll lose many positions. And that's another, that seems to be another driver, or was it Peter Ferter?
I think so. Let me check here.
I think it was him, right? But anyway, and we are here, still battle for 5th position there. And again, Jorge Frangulis was able to get close to Alceu Feldman. Jorge Frangulis is the 3rd in this pack here that you're seeing there. We have Lucas Salles, then Alceu Feldman, then Jorge Frangulis. And now we see the first 4 cars separating a little bit between themselves. We see Werner Neubauer with about half a second of difference to Nicolas Costa, so he's being able to have a little bit of more tranquility now. Nicolas Costa is 2nd, but Miguel Paludo in 4th. He stays right behind Marcel Miller. The difference is 4/10 of a second from Miguel Paludo, 4th place, to 3rd place, Marcel Miller.
Yeah, Miguel Paludo, a few moments ago, he got the best lap so far, so he has a good pace. So actually, Marcel Miller has to be very wary because he has a 7-time Porsche Cup Brazil champion right behind him. And as you said, Werner Neubauer managing his advantage there in the lead. But Nicolas Costa still has a good pace, so Werner cannot make any mistake. And we have to highlight these gaps that we see in the screen right now. And apart from that, that pack that comes right behind Miguel Paludo, because Lucas Salles and Jorge Frangulis, they are from the intermediate category, that is the sport class division, and they are ahead, Lucas ahead of Alceu Feldman from the main carrera class, and Frangulis ahead of Rodrigo Melo, also from the main carrera class.
Yeah, before that, you were watching the Eduardo Menossi with the Porsche number 85. That was the battle for the 16th position. We had Eduardo Guedes right behind him. And at this point, we see first and second separating themselves
A
from
equipe do.
third
Enquanto
and
isso,
fourth.
né?
Renata.
Uns ficam chateados, outros felizes. A equipe do Gil Frangulli está muito feliz aqui no box, porque pela primeira vez ele fez a volta mais rápida da corrida. Então, vale destacar aí que a galera tá bem feliz aqui.
Yeah, nice participation there from Renata Diniz, talking about the happiness of Georgios Frangulli's pit crew because he was able to get the best lap time in this race. It is the first time that he gets the best lap time in a race. So, of course, they are celebrating quite a lot. And this is definitely one of the drivers that we can see that is developing himself as driver. Something happened there.
Yeah, problems
33.
again. Apparently, it's Bruno Campos. Bruno Campos, Porsche number 33, going wide right at the S of Senna. It's a very challenged turn. He comes back to the track, losing many positions. And there is Bruno Campos. So he was in the 14th position, and he got some help there from Paulo Souza. Paulo Souza gave some help to Bruno Campos. Look at that. I don't know if it was Paulo Souza's fault, but anyway, there was the touch, and Bruno Campos loses lots of ground. And look at Miguel Paludo. Battle for third position, right behind Marcel Miller. Marcel Miller a little bit slower at this point. He's already far from second place. Luis Nicolas Costa and Miguel Paludo is doing everything he can to get third position. Last year, Carlos, Marcel Miller at around the middle of the race, we saw he lost some, he wasn't as fast from the middle of the race on at the end of the season. And there's Miguel Paludo. Let's see if Miguel Paludo can get the position. He goes on the outside. He'll try the inside now and see what he can do at the exit of S of Senna. Not this time, Carlos, but he might be able to do that at the end of the straight that they will have ahead of them.
Yeah, let's see if the slipstream is enough because it's a short back straight there. But no, he wasn't able anyway. Very big pressure there. And Marcel Miller has to defend himself because if he loses this spot, I think Miguel Paludo will be able to open a bit of a gap there.
Yeah, clearly at this point, Miguel Paludo is faster. He goes on the outside. He tries a different line to get ahead of Marcel Miller, but Marcel Miller is a very experienced driver, so he's doing a great work of defense against Miguel Paludo. Both are great drivers, and Marcel Miller is there. He's defending himself. We still have over 10 minutes to go, plus one lap, so there's lots of time to go. And in a way, I would say, Carlos, Miguel Paludo has to be patient. Of course, he has to attack Marcel Miller, but he needs some patience as well.
Yeah, definitely. He has to focus on having good exit of corner so that he gets to a short straight or even a long straight like this main one with more speed. So let's see if he manages to overtake now, but it doesn't seem to be the case, even though this fight is between Nicolas Costa and Werner Neugebauer, and then we see Marcel Miller still ahead of Miguel Paludo. Just talking about the incident that we saw, the accident between Paulo Souza and the guy that was leading the rookie class, that was Bruno Campos. It seems to me that it was Paulo Souza's fault because he crashed into the back of Bruno Campos' car. But anyway, the stewards have to take a look into this accident, and maybe we will have a penalty for Paulo Souza. Sergio.
Yeah, and we have a big separation now between first and second, and then third and fourth. But we have battles for first position, battle for third, and battle for fifth. So battles on the top 6 cars. We have 3 battles going on, even though the cars are separated there. And Alceu Feldman, who is in 6th, he's been all around Lucas Salles in the battle for 5th position. While you see here, Nicolas Costa putting all the pressure over Werner Neugebauer. Werner Neugebauer really had that great start that put him here in position to win the first race of this 2023 season.
Yeah, and we were talking some minutes ago about the advantage, the gap that Neugebauer had opened in comparison to Nicolas Costa, but now Nicolas is once more on the charge. And this pack is interesting. Ahead now, Jorge Strangulli is overtaking Lucas Salles, and he claims the lead.
Feldman. Alceu Feldman as well.
Also, Feldman overtook Lucas Salles, but that overtaking maneuver was interesting because it was the fight for the lead of the sport class there between Lucas Salles and Jorge Strangulli. But as we see in this moment, Lucas Salles is once more leading because Jorge Strangulli went a lot wide there in the first leg of the Sina S's. Sergio, I believe that he missed the breaking point there. But anyway, sorry, Alceu Feldman had already passed Lucas Salles, and one more touch.
It's been Bruno Campos again and Nasser Abultaif. Bruno Campos in the 33 and Nasser Abultaif in the 99. Yes, Carlos, pardon me, I was just saying that because Alceu Feldman got ahead of Lucas Salles, and now we have battle for first position. Nicolas Costa is really putting the pressure on Werner Neugebauer. Werner Neugebauer is having to use all his experience. Look how it goes. The car from Nicolas Costa, Werner Neugebauer. Let's see who gets ahead of these cars. It's impressive. This is the onboard camera of Werner Neugebauer, and he stays ahead. But Nicolas Costa is trying everything, Carlos, and now he has position. Oh, again touching the two cars. Nicolas Costa has position. He's side by side. They're going to the main straight. Nicolas Costa and then Werner Neugebauer. Very aggressive. The advantage is for Nicolas Costa on the outside. Werner Neugebauer gets a little bit of more speed now. Turn is going to be to the left. And Nicolas Costa is the new leader. Werner Neugebauer goes outside, has position now, but Nicolas Costa, definitely Nicolas Costa gets back the lead. And now he's first again with less than 7 minutes to go, plus one lap, Carlos. What a work by Nicolas Costa. It paid to be persistent, and now he's back on the first place.
Yeah, it definitely paid off, and it was nice to see a very interesting battle because it happened throughout half of a lap, a little bit less than that. But anyway, I was going to talk about how interesting the tactical battle when you try to overtake and how important that is, because Nicolas Costa in the first moment he got ahead of Werner Neugebauer, but Neugebauer had the inside line, considering that in that moment we had a left-hander. But anyway, Nicolas Costa's pace was better, and he was able to overtake definitely after the two legs of the Sina S's. But it was very nice to see in the main straight when they were side by side, and they were quite elbowy with each other there, Sergio. Of course, we saw the touch between Costa and Neugebauer in the beginning of the main straight, but also in the middle of the straight. They were quite close to each other, as we see there the replay.
Yes, nice work by Nicolas Costa. Nicolas Costa, who up to last year he raced in the Porsche Cup Endurance Championship. He finished fourth, as in his car finished fourth in the championship last year, but now he's disputing the sprint championship, and he is starting very, very strong, Carlos. It's a great start for him, and let's see. But remembering that we have the inversion of the grid for race 2, so there will be a draw between, and there will be inversion of the grid between 6th and 8th place. While you see Miguel Paludo, Carlos, he got a little bit behind now. He was very close to Marcel Miller in the battle for third position, but now he is behind. Well, you see the car of Eamon Darwich, which is 11th place.
Yeah, and interestingly, we see that Nicolas Costa has opened almost 4 tenths of a gap to Werner Neugbauer. So it seems that he has consistently a better pace in terms of race pace, of course, and also qualifying because he claimed pole position. But anyway, compared to Werner Neugbauer, the situation for Costa is a bit better in this moment, as we see on the screen. 4 tenths or almost that between our race leader and Neugbauer, and then we have almost half a tenth between Neugbauer and Miller, and also between Miller and Miguel Paludo, as we see that Alceu Feldman is a bit behind, and then right behind Alceu Feldman we have that fight for the leaders between the leaders actually of the sport class, the intermediate division of this category.
This is the first race of the Porsche C6 Bank MasterCard Brazil season 2023. After this race, you have the first race for the Sprint Challenge category. And number 8 was penalized, Zinkevich, 20 seconds per his contact with number 3 of Franco Giaffoni. That incident was in the beginning of the race. And there we have the battle between Paulo Souza and Edu Guedes. Paulo Souza in the car number 25 there is in 14th, and Edu Guedes is right behind him. Both are from the rookie class, Carlos.
Yeah, now we know who was involved in that accident with Franco Giaffoni, Roman Zinkevich. So therefore he has this 20-second time penalty, and so far so good for Paulo Souza, because we didn't see any communication by the stewards of a penalty for the car that we see in the screen right now. But anyway, I believe that it is the right decision by the stewards to penalize Roman Zinkevich, because it was a very dangerous driving there right in the first leg of the Sina S, so that Franco Giaffoni was hit and he couldn't do anything apart from trying to protect his car, but it seems that it wasn't enough because his car wasn't able to continue in this race, Sergio.
Yes, right behind Paulo Souza and Edu Guedes, we have Ricardo Fontanari and Nelson Monteiro. Ricardo Fontanari started way behind. He started in the 23rd position, so he was able to a nice qualifying effort, so that was a problem for him. We see there the onboard from Marcel Miller, and Marcel Miller, Carlos, is getting to Werner Neugbauer. We might see a battle for second position until the end of the race. Marcel Miller is really strong now behind Werner Neugbauer. Maybe Werner Neugbauer needed too much his tires, Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. He probably ate his tires because he had to defend himself from Nicolas Costa some minutes ago. Eventually, Nicolas Costa was able to overtake, but anyway, this fight between Neugbauer and Miller is very profitable for Nicolas. Of course, he's leading the pack, and now he's able to open a bit of a gap, since the guys right behind, they are fighting against each other. And now we see the communication of the 20-second time penalty for Paulo Souza. That is something that we could expect, as we have been talking about.
So that puts Edu Guedes ahead of him. We saw the battle between Paulo Souza and Edu Guedes, and now we know that Edu Guedes is way with 20 seconds. He's way ahead of him. This is the car from Lucas Salles. Lucas Salles is in 6th, and still have Jorge Frangulis behind him. That's a good battle. That's battle for the sport class, Carlos. When we are close to the end of the race, Luca Frangulis on the outside. Jorge Frangulis on the outside tries to get the position from Lucas Salles. This is the battle for the win in the sport class. These two drivers are 6th and 7th. So that's very interesting. And Marcel Miller, we still have 2 laps to go, and Marcel Miller, take a look at the inside of Werner Neugbauer, but was not able to overtake.
Yeah, he tried an aggressive line there, but anyway, once more we can talk about the tactical battle, because you have to position the car thinking also about the next corner. So he tried the inside line there, but we had mini straight there right after the sun corner that we call in Brazil, a little bit after this corner actually. But anyway, Marcel Miller wasn't able to position his car in a spot there that could give him the overtaking maneuver. And that fight is very interesting, but they have to be cautious because Rodrigo Melo is right behind. Of course, Rodrigo Melo is from the main Carrera class, so independently if he passes or not, Lucas Salles and Georgios Frangoulis, they are fighting for the class win in the sport class of this Carrera Cup Championship. But let's see if Rodrigo Melo will be able to profit from that fight. And of course, Lucas Salles and Frangoulis, they have to be cautious in order not to crash as well. We saw previously that Frangoulis went a bit wide in the first leg of the Sina S's, and once more, Marcel Miller on the charge. Sergio.
Yes, Nicolas Costa goes for his last lap in this first race of the 2023 Carrera Cup Sprint Championship in Brazil. We see him way ahead. He's almost 2 seconds ahead of Werner Neugebauer, and Marcel Miller with the 544 trying to overtake Werner Neugebauer, and he goes very aggressive on the outside. Marcel Miller might get second position at the very end of the race. Right behind them, we have Miguel Paludo. Side by side, Werner Neugebauer is not going to make it easy. Miguel Paludo goes in the inside. Marcel Miller is second. Miguel Paludo is third. What a loss for Werner Neugebauer. He had a great start. He got first position, but now he falls to fourth with Marcel Miller second, Miguel Paludo third, and then Werner Neugebauer. What a loss for Neugebauer, Carlos, at the very end of the race as he tries to recuperate at least one position from Miguel Paludo.
Yeah, of course, for him, that's a shame because he started third and now is running fourth. So, of course, he lost the spot there for Miguel Paludo. And
now
yeah.
Part of Carlos, and now we're going to get the checkered flag. We have Nicolas Costa going for his first win in 2023, actually his first win in the Sprint Championship, Carrera Cup Sprint Championship. Nicolas Costa, brilliant Nicolas Costa. Marcel Miller is second, Miguel Paludo is third, Werner Neugebauer is fourth, Alceu Feldman is fifth, and then Lucas Salles wins the sport class ahead of Giorgio Frangoulis, with Rodrigo Melo right behind them, and then Enel Pires and Nelson Marcondes rounding the top 10, Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. What a race. And we have to praise Nicolas Costa because he could have lost confidence after being passed by Neugebauer and Miller right after the race start. But firstly, he was able to overtake Marcel Miller, and then he started a long attack actually in order to try and get back this lead position. And of course, that battle between himself and Werner Neugebauer, it was very intense and very nice to watch. We had until the overtaking maneuver, a battle of almost half a lap between Costa that we see on the screen right now, and Neugebauer, of course, Neugebauer. And I was going to talk about this right before the checkered flag. He has to be a little bit more consistent in terms of having a clean race throughout the whole weekend. Of course, he started very well, very aggressive. Maybe he ate up his tires. So that's one reason why he might have lost this performance in the final parts of the race. But anyway, it wasn't profitable for him at all since he started third and finished fourth right behind Miguel Paludo. An interesting race as well for Paludo, cleaner race to say the least. And even though he wasn't able to overtake Marcel Miller, their fight was also a highlight of this first race that we have this weekend with the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. But anyway, Marcel Miller once more with a good finishing position, important points for the championship. He was fighting for the title last year, but the crown ended up in Enzo Elias' head, and now one more, Marcel Miller has the opportunity, but Nicolas Costa is definitely the man of the race.
Yes. Winner for the sports class was Lucas Salles. Winner for the rookie class was Edu Guedes. It must have been very frustrating, really, for Werner Neugebauer to start leading the race after an awesome start, but then at the end ended up in fourth. And this race was everything we expected of it, with many changes in the first top 4 positions. We saw battles as well for the sports class category class race, and then for the rookie class race as well. And there we see Nicolas Costa starting with the right foot, as we say, winning his first race in the Carrera Cup Sprint Championship. Awesome race by Nicolas Costa. Let's see if the veterans of the category, Carlos, will be able to catch up to him. We still have lots of time until the end of the season, but he started really, really strong.
Yeah, and he was calm enough to win even after he lost the lead of the race. So it's interesting to note the fact that he didn't lose himself, to say this way, because sometimes the driver he loses actually the lead position, and then his race starts to get disastrous. But it wasn't the case with Nicolas Costa, and we have to highlight the fact that eventually, he ended up showing that his race pace was also very good after claiming pole position. So, what a start for his campaign in the sprint championship. He's new to this championship, but of course, as you said, he has experience with these cars because of the endurance championship that he has already raced. So, the man of the race today for the Carrera Cup Championship, and also we have to highlight the winners of the other classes, especially Lucas Salles, I would say, because of his fights there with Georgios Frangoulis and even Alceu Feldman, even though Alceu is from the main Carrera class, and also Edu Guedes, that benefited from the penalty that Paulo Souza had and was able to win in the rookie class ahead of João Barbosa and Gustavo Farah.
And there you see trading paint Nicolas Costa and Werner Neugebauer. That was when Nicolas Costa was able to overtake Werner Neugebauer. Nicolas Costa, at the beginning of the race, he even fell to third, so he was able to recuperate. He overtook Marcel Miller first, then he overtook Werner Neugebauer, and he ended up the race 3.5 seconds ahead of Marcel Miller. So he was way, way faster than his competitors. We'll follow this with the podium, but stay tuned with us, because we'll have later on in this transmission, we'll have the Sprint Challenge race, the first Sprint Challenge race of this season, when we'll have Marcelo Tomassoni starting in the pole position alongside Urubatan Jr., and we'll have Antonella Bassonia, a 16-year-old driver. She's a really accomplished driver, and it will be very interesting to see how she fares in her first race in this championship.
Yeah, that's it. Antonella Bassani, driver of the Young Racing Academy, that is new in this 2023 Porsche Cup Brazil season. 16 years old, two-time actually finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program. So it's a highlight of this grid in the main sprint challenge class. Let's hear from race winner Nicolas Costa, and Renata Diniz already highlighted how cold he was today.
Muito satisfeito com o resultado. Não só com o resultado, mas está competitivo, né? Diferente, por exemplo, quando você dá uma sorte e ganha a corrida. A gente esteve competitivo durante os treinos, a classificatória, a corrida inteira. Mérito da minha equipe, que buscou tudo que podia no carro, e também em mim, né? Mas é isso, eu tô muito contente, todo mundo foi muito limpo nas disputas de posições, a gente teve uns contatos, mas normais de corrida, acredito, tentei dar espaço, eles tentaram dar espaço, o suficiente, não muito, mas foi incrível, tô realizado.
Não, e chegou a escapar ali, né, e você foi buscar.
Pois é, chegou a escapar, eu falei, putz, e agora, né, vamos ver como é que tá o ritmo de corrida. Baixei minha bola, baixei a adrenalina, falei, vamos pensar com frieza e tentar achar uma oportunidade se ela se apresentar, e se apresentaram. Então.
É isso aí, agora vai pro pódio só comemorar, parabéns.
Galera, obrigado.
Lucky.
Nice chat there with Nicolas Costa, and we all have to praise his resilience. Anyway, he was thanking his pit crew, his staff, because of the setup of the car and so on. He also said that he was able to have a very good performance throughout the whole weekend. He led the free practice sessions that we had yesterday, claimed pole position, and now winning race one of the two races that we have this weekend in the Porsche Carrera Cup Championship. The second one is tomorrow. But obviously, he was asked about his battles with Werner Neubauer, Marcel Miller. He said that everything and everyone, they were all very clean there. Of course, aggressive but clean, even though they left space, enough space, no more than that. Of course, we are talking about racing, but anyway, it was interesting to see, and now he celebrates with his pit crew, family, and friends.
Yeah, you saw there the final results of race one. Franco Giaffoni ended up finishing last. He was touched by Roman Zinkevich, who finished right ahead of him. So anyway, none of the two completed the race. And there we have Nicolas Costa receiving the podium. Now he is talking to Miguel Paludo, Brandt. Then there is Alceu Feldman there. Marcel Miller, and on your left side here we have Werner Neubauer, not really very happy with his results. There he is, Werner Neubauer finishing fourth. Then we have Miguel Paludo, end up getting third position. Marcel Miller second, and then we have the great winner, who is Nicolas Costa.
Nice podium there, because we have these five guys, and they all had interesting races, even though Werner Neubauer doesn't end this first of the two races that we have for the Carrera Cup Championship. Very happy. Obviously, he started third, finished fourth after leading the race, after a very interesting and aggressive overtaking maneuver that allowed him to pass both Marcel Miller and Nicolas Costa in the beginning of the race. But Costa was able to recover and reclaimed his lead position, and obviously won. And we have to highlight his resilience after dominating the whole weekend so far, leading free practices and the qualifying session. But Marcel Miller had a very consistent race, Miguel Paludo as well, even though he wasn't able to pass Marcel Miller. But we are talking about two very interesting competitors there, two fast drivers already experienced in the series. Miguel Paludo, seven-time Porsche Cup Brazil champion. Werner Neubauer, we already talked about him, and Alceu Feldman is completing there the podium, but unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to have the pace to attack Neubauer, Paludo, and so on. He was fighting actually with the guys from the intermediate class, the sport division, and now we will have the podium of the sport class. Sergio.
Yeah, Lucas Salles is on top of this class. It's the green, white, and orange suit there. Then we have Giorgio Frangoulis. I would like to point the great work by Giorgio Frangoulis, Carlos. He had a great race at certain point. He had the best time. I think he ended up with the best time, 1:37.576. It was the best time of the race. So it's a great accomplishment for him. He's been racing for a few years now in the category, and he's getting better and better. So it was a nice work by him. We have to highlight, and of course, Lucas Salles, who won the sports class. He's a great driver as well. He's been showing really great work with his car number 70.
Yeah, that's interesting because, of course, we have the driver development step by step. And as you said, it's quite an accomplishment to have the fastest lap of the race, because one thing is qualifying pace with the ideal conditions, one or two flying laps. Of course, the race pace, because you have to be consistent. And now he is able to have a good lap time throughout the race. That is a challenge itself. But interesting podium. We have to highlight the other guys as well, apart from Lucas Salles, that is a very competitive driver, and Giorgio Frangoulis, Lineu Pires, P3, and a champion of the rookie class in the 2022 Carrera Cup Championship. Now, Cio Marcondes, if I'm not wrong, he was the runner-up of the main sprint challenge championship last year, so he's now arriving in this Carrera Cup Championship. And apart from them, Ayman Darvic, also a very aggressive driver that provides us a lot of entertainment. And now we see the podium of the rookie class, Sergio.
Yes, the rookie class, Edu Guedes was the winner with car number 9. Second place was João Barbosa. João Barbosa had a great race as well with the car number 121. And then in third place, we had Gustavo Farah. Yes, Gustavo Farah was the third place. Yeah. So it was also a great race. These guys, Carlos, they battle behind. Let's put this way, they are behind on the racetrack, but they really fight over there. There's lots of competition among them, and it's very important that because we have 7 drivers competing for the rookie class, so it's a very strong rookie class that we are having now in 2023. So that's a class we will have to be paying attention as well. And there you see Paulo Souza, number 25. Behind him is Edu Guedes, the winner. Paulo Souza also competes in the rookie class, but he was penalized in 20 seconds. So he ended up finishing way behind.
Yeah, and as you said, it's a very interesting competition in each class. Of course, the sport class is already closer to the main Carrera class, but the rookie class is interesting because we can see very clearly throughout 1 year, 1 season, 1 championship, the driver development. And as I said, step by step. First, you train to get good in terms of qualifying pace, then race pace, and then you mix both of the things in order to have consistently fast lap times throughout the whole race. And then you can advance into another class, a higher level class, such as the Sport 1, for example, such as Lineu Pires did, the champion of the rookie last year, and now P3 in this podium of the Sport class. But anyway, nice to see Edu Guedes winning as well, a very famous person in Brazil, a TV presenter, and of course João Barbosa in the second spot. Clean race for him, and he had an interesting qualifying session as well. Gustavo Farah, that gave us the interview about the new exhaust type that comes from the Porsche Super Cup series, and Bruno Campos, that unfortunately was hit by Paulo Souza. Even with the penalty, actually, Paulo was able to get this 5th spot in order to go to the podium. Then we had Nasser Abultaif and Piero Schifali 6th and 7th, right behind the podium guys that we had in this rookie class.
This is the first race of the Porsche Cup C6 Bank MasterCard. The second round, Carlos, will be
Vou perguntar pra ele
in
o que
the
o Luke tá falando. O que você
Velocitar.
achou desses
That will be in the
25 minutos mais
15th
uma
and
volta de
16th
corrida?
of
Cara, que
April.
disputa, hein?
Let's
Foi
listen
muito
to Renata.
tranquilo, tô brincando. Uma das corridas mais tensas para mim, a gente acabou errando um pouquinho o setup, então eu tava mais brigando com o carro que pilotando. Eu acabei tomando um toque na primeira curva, que acabou fazendo eu perder uma colocação. E à medida que foi decorrendo a corrida, eu fui me reeducando a pilotagem, conseguindo crescer dentro da prova, para no final conseguir ir para cima e conseguir a ultrapassagem, que felizmente houve um toque, mas são coisas de corrida, eu não esperava que ele ia vir, tentei manter o máximo por dentro possível, mas o carro totalmente desgastado de última volta, acabamos nos tocando, mas estou feliz com esse segundo lugar aí, somar bons pontos para o campeonato.
E ainda tem mais esse final de semana, tem mais amanhã.
Com certeza, vamos consertar o carro e amanhã vamos para cima.
Obrigada, Marçal. Com você, Luke.
Interesting chat there with Marcel Miller, that finished 2nd overall in this first race of the Carrera Cup Championship this weekend. He was talking about some touches in the battles for position there, especially with Werner Neugbauer in the end of the race. He tried to prevent a touch sticking to the inside line, but of course with tire degradation, the car in not an ideal situation, he wasn't able to avoid a touch, but obviously it wasn't a touch that should have had a penalty for Marcel Miller or something like that. But anyway, he also said that actually he was struggling a bit with the setup of the car in the beginning of the race, but then he adapted to this wrong setup, if we can say so. But anyway, he was able to improve his race pace in the middle of the race and then to the end of the race as well. And obviously he was able to overtake Werner Neugbauer in order to finish second. That was also his starting position. So he says that he will try to improve the setup of the car in order to have a better race tomorrow.
Yes, they all will be preparing for Sunday now. Time to rest a little bit. Race on Sunday is scheduled to start at 2 p.m. We should start
Tô
around
perguntando para
2,
Edu Guedes se ainda sobrou um fôlego para falar
and
comigo.
then the
Parabéns,
race
Edu.
itself will
Obrigado, uma
start
corrida de
around
recuperação, mas foi
2:30.
muito boa. Começar o ano
Renata.
assim, espetacular.
É isso aí, palavra de Edu. Mas a disputa foi tensa ali.
Foi tenso até o final. Eu não sabia que o Paulo tinha sido penalizado e eu vim tentando passar até a última curva, né? Vim grudado, cheguei a vir encostando ali nele.
Essas brincadeiras que o Edu fica fazendo nos bastidores, por exemplo, o Nelson Marcondes que acabou de chegar e falou, não, ele que tem que me ensinar. Ah, Edu, não vem com esse papo pra cima de mim, não. Você sabe muito, você manja.
Nós dois somos bem.
Parabéns, viu?
Obrigado, beijo.
Luke.
Funny chat there with Edu Guedes, winner of the rookie class of the Carrera Cup Championship in this first race this weekend, and he was talking about the fact that he had to do a recovery race. We remember that he didn't have such a good qualifying session earlier today, but anyway, Renata also joked with him there about Nelson Marcondes asking for tips regarding this 992 Porsche that we have in the Carrera Cup Championship. But anyway, Edu Guedes replied with a smile, and he said that both of them, Edu and Nelson Marcondes, they are in a good situation, as we see the replay there of the touch between Paulo Souza, and Bruno Campos.
Yeah, that was a big battle in the rookie class. Both Bruno Campos and Paulo Souza are in the rookie class. And you were talking about Edu Guedes. He started third in the rookie class behind Paulo Souza and João Barbosa. So he was able to get first position. He was really happy and he deserves it. He deserves to get this position. And that was another situation involving Bruno Campos there. And again, we see the battle for first position. Look at the Werner Neugbauer with Nicolas Costa at his side. At this point, we didn't have the image of Nicolas Costa, but Werner Neugbauer knew by then that Nicolas Costa had what it takes to overtake him and get back the first position. And after that, it was kind of easy, let's put it this way, for Nicolas Costa, who opened a 3 2.5 seconds over second place, who ended up being Marcel Miller. So that's, and I was talking before, Carlos, while you see these images, the second round will be in April at Velocitar racetrack, which is in the interior of the state of São Paulo. Then the third sprint race will be in Goiânia, which is very close to the Brazilian's capital, Brasília. It's like 3-4 hours away driving by car, Goiânia to Brasília. It will be at the end of May, and then we'll have the following week after the sprint race in Goiânia, we'll have the first endurance race, which will be in June 4th. That will be the first endurance race of this season. And let's listen to Renata again.
Eu vim aqui falar com o Frangulis, mas já que eu encontrei o Mikai, nossa, que baita homenagem no carro pra você. Mas é uma homenagem triste. Como assim você vai nos deixar?
Tem de tudo um pouco dentro disso. Na verdade, é um reconhecimento, né? A gente veio aí trabalhando 3 anos juntos e surgiu uma oportunidade de ir para um outro lugar, aí no caso é fora do Brasil. E aí eu encerrei junto a eles, mas a gente encerrou o campeonato, né? A amizade, a consideração, tudo que a gente construiu de uma forma muito verdadeira se prevalece. E eu acho que não tem exemplo maior disso, então não sei nem muito o que dizer. Fiquei um pouco sem palavras, mas o reconhecimento está estampado no carro.
Sensacional. E para abrir a temporada junto com ele numa etapa muito boa, né? Um dia muito bom para ele.
Com toda certeza. Hoje ele também subiu mais um step de algo que ele sempre buscou, que era conseguir um tempo melhor e teve a volta mais rápida da corrida. Yes! É ele.
Alegria.
Não.
Ao vivo, ao vivo.
Muito...
Que baita homenagem.
Que baita homenagem que a gente fez aqui. Dá o close aqui. na época que ele tinha o cabelo um pouquinho mais
Gracinha.
Estou muito feliz, P2 com a gente, volta mais rápida da corrida. Vai estar final de semana até aqui. Uma pena que ele está indo embora, mas a gente se encontra nos Estados Unidos em breve.
Parabéns, viu? Mikai, venha nos visitar. Isso aí. Luke.
Nice chat there between friends. Mika is going to race in the US, but anyway, Fragolis paid tribute there to his friend, and of course they are both celebrating the fact that apart from the second spot in the class, Jorge Fragolis was able to claim this fastest lap of the race, which is something that he was chasing for a while already, and that shows also his driver development in this series. But anyway, a very good Saturday for Frangulis as a whole, and of course he has to celebrate with his friends and his pit crew as well. Sergio.
Yes, there he is, Frangulis again, second in his class. This is the rookie class. Jorge Frangulis, who has a company that has ties in the US, so let's listen to the clip. We are back with live images from Interlagos. That was the end of the Porsche Carrera Cup transmission. And now we pretty much start talking about the Sprint Challenge. I am Sergio Lago. I'm here with Carlos Costa. And in the Sprint Challenge, Marcelo Tomassoni will be the pole position. He will start alongside Urubatan Jr. with Christian Moore and Miguel Mariotti started in the second position. Weather is overcast in São Paulo in the Autódromo José Carlos Pace, which is known worldwide as Interlagos. And we already see the cars for the Sprint Challenge going to the grid to prepare to start the race. Carlos.
Yeah, that's it. So right after the first of two races of the Carrera Cup this weekend, we have the first one of the Sprint Challenge Championship, the intermediate championship, since now we have the school category, to say this way, that is the trophy challenge that we will have tomorrow. But anyway, an interesting championship as well, given the fact that we have a lot of competitive drivers. I would highlight the guys that we saw earlier today in the qualifying session with good paces, especially Marcelo Tomassoni, as you said, because the level of competitiveness was interesting. But apart from that, we had rain as well in the final part of the qualifying session, so it was an extra challenge for Marcelo and Urubatan Jr. that qualified second, and all the rest of the pack, Christian Moore and so on. But anyway, let's wait and see also how Antonella Bassani will fare, as you said. Sergio, driver of the Young Racing Academy, the 16 years old female driver from Brazil, two-time finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program, so she has already a bit of experience racing since 4 years old, so 12 years, to her belt in terms of motorsport experience coming from the go-kart years that she had in Brazil, and with a lot of good performances, by the way. But of course, we all know that adapting to a different car is a challenge, and of course, coming from go-kart, single-seaters, and so on to Porsche Cup Brazil is something that it's quite difficult to do. But anyway, the expectation is quite good, as you said. Marcelo Tomassoni ahead of the pack. the qualifying session was interesting, not just because of the rain, but also because of the fights that we had throughout the whole grid. So we have Tomazoni ahead of Urubatan Jr., then Christian Mor, Miguel Mariotti, and then the guys from the other classes, starting from Junior Gennady in the sport class.
Yes, Antonella, Tomassoni. Let's see the starting grid now, and then we talk about Tomassoni, Antonella Bassani, actually. This is Marcelo Tomassoni starting the first row with Urubatan Júnior, then Christian Moore and Miguel Mariotti, Júnior Dinardi and Antonio Junqueira. Junqueira is his first time in the sprint class here. Teba Malucelli and Sadak Leite in the fourth row. Then Gustavo Zanon and Arthur Ramos right behind them. And we have Antonella Bassani and Josimar Jr. on the sixth row. Behind them, we will have André Gaidzinski and Israel Salman. Israel Salman, very good effort leading the rookie class. Tango Kim last year was in the rookie class. This year he's in the sports class, starting alongside Ramon Alcaraz. Then we will have Walter Lester and Célio Brasil. Behind them we have Eric Santos and Luis Souza. These are the top 20 starting the race, and then Americo Lanzoni will start last. But what I was saying about Antonella was that she seemed very nervous in her interviews, but she's still very young. I'm sure as she gets used to it, you will be able to improve her performance as we see the onboard image of Antonella Bassoni. And all the attentions are going to her as well, which doesn't help, let's say, a young girl with 16 years old, you know? But that's part of experience and part of growing up, to get used to this attention as it develops for her racing career.
Yeah, that's an extra pressure that is added, also because she's the only female driver of these two championships, but also a privilege. Imagine yourself 16 years old being sponsored by Mobil, driving in such a competitive and important championship that is the Sprint Challenge that we have in the sprint races of the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. So she has to enjoy, firstly, I would say, and the best way to adapt yourself to a new car, a new series, a new championship anyway, is to race, even though she didn't have actually the best result in the qualifying session. Then she will start racing now, and then the anxiety goes away at least a bit. So I believe that throughout the season she will be able to be calmer and have a better performance starting from the qualifying sessions. And now we didn't see her racing yet, so let's see if she gets a good recovery race and finishes closer to the front runners. Anyway, it's an interesting name that Porsche adds this year. So,
let's start the race. We have Marcelo Tomassoni will be on your right side, Urubatan Jr. on the left, the dark blue car. As the car goes to the start-finish line, and it's green. He starts the race in Interlagos for the Sprint Challenge. First race in 2023, side by side. Tomassoni and Urubatan Jr. What a great start by Urubatan Jr. Gets the first position. Not a good start by Marcelo Tomassoni. Some cars go away on the inside there, and Urubatan Jr. gets the lead at the very beginning of the race. What a start by Urubatan Jr. Marcelo Tomassoni is second. And it seems there it's Antonio Junqueira who is third. Antonio Junqueira started in fifth. He's third now. What a great start by Antonio Junqueira. He had a great effort during the qualifying session. And Urubatan Jr. already opens a little bit of a gap over second place Marcelo Tomassoni. Great start of race as well. Look, problems. A touch happens. And let's see who's involved there. Carlos, I don't know if you were able to see it.
Yes. André Gaidzinski and Antonella Bassoni, and I think there's a third car involved, but let's wait and see anyway. It seems that Antonella Bassoni touched Gaidzinski's car from the inside, and now we see the replay.
This is Antonella. This is on board from Antonella. She touches Gaidzinski. As you said, she goes wide. Let's see again what happened there. Did he give enough space to her? Carlos, what was your impression?
Yeah, it seems that he squeezes her a little bit on the inside there, but what the stewards will have to take into account is if she was able to brake and avoid the contact, even the fact that she was behind. We saw there another car wrecked there. We will wait and see the replay to confirm who it is. But anyway, that third car that I thought that was involved in that crash actually managed to avoid the crash, but of course he lost time there going wide in order to prevent the touch. But anyway, the stewards probably will take a good look into this accident between Antonella Bassani and André Gaidzinski. Sergio.
Good battle for third position. Christian Moore got the position from Antonio Junqueira. Right now he's third. Antonio Junqueira is trying to get back to him. Sadak Leite again, very good effort in the number 66. Sadak Leite, which up to last year was in the rookie class. Now he's in the fourth class. As we see again what happened in the start. I'm not sure if some cars there jump started. It was Antonio Junqueira coming here way wide there. And look at the very beginning. There was a problem there, Carlos, and it was very eventful start, and with a very good start by Urubatan Jr.
Yeah, of course, it was an eventful start, as you said, but we cannot forget to highlight Urubatan Jr.'s start, jumping ahead of Marcelo Tomazoni. We see Tomazoni's on board in this moment, but anyway, compared to the race start that we had in the Carrera Cup Championship, a very eventful one. Now we see André Gaidzinski's car in the repairs zone there in the pit lane. But anyway, a lot of cars going to the inside, if you can say so, of the middle part of the Senna S's in order to avoid contact and crashes. It's better to avoid crashes than, of course, hitting anyone and compromising a lot of drivers' races. But anyway, these guys were able to avoid contact, even though we had that crash between Antonella Bassani and Gaidzinski. Let's see if Antonella Bassani will be able to continue in this race.
Yeah, she currently sits in 12th position. She started in the 11th position. Of course, she was better than that before she had the accident. Number 5 is Marcelo Tomassoni. He's trying to get close to Urubatan Jr. And a great start by Christian Moore. Christian Moore, right now, he's trying to get close to Marcelo Tomassoni to battle for first position. And there we see Miguel Mariotti. I believe that car that spun, Carlos, was Miguel Mariotti in the car number 21. Behind him, we have Gustavo Zanon in the Porsche number 33. There is Gustavo Zanon. Gustavo Zanon, who is 9th overall. And behind them, we see a little bit behind them, we see Malucelli. Malucelli actually is ahead of them. He's in the 7th position. Car number 100 of Sabah Malucelli. There you see Sabah Malucelli. You see him behind Sabah Malucelli, Miguel Mariotti, and then Gustavo Zanon. And going to the pits, Eric Santos with the Porsche number 38, another driver who was involved in an accident.
Yeah, I believe that Eric started racing the penultimate position, new to the series driver of the rookie class of this Sprint Challenge Championship, but his first race wasn't that good and was compromised because of this incident. There we see Antonella Bassani's car. It seems that the car is okay. It was worse for André Gaidzinski, obviously, and now an interesting replay there, the onboard camera of Antonella making the overtaking maneuver there, and right in the first leg of the Senna S. So she was aggressive but very conscious about what she was doing, and now she was able to overtake another driver there.
Yeah, it was Ramon Alcaraz. What was the battle for the 11th position? Let's see what Antonella can do in regards to Josimar Jr. Josimar Jr. is ahead of her, but he's almost 2 seconds ahead of her. But we still have lots of time. We have over 18 minutes of racing to go, plus 1 lap. So it's a lot of racing with these cars, and she still has time to get better. Best lap so far is from Marcelo Tomassoni. And he's getting close to Urubatan Jr. in the battle for first position. He looks at the inside of Urubatan Jr. Not this time, but Urubatan Jr. will have to play defense from now on, Carlos, because it seems that Marcelo Tomassoni is trying to recoup his first position.
Yeah, interesting battle because Urubate Jr. Got the lead of the race right after race start, but Tomassoni's pace is better so far. And the pole seater, from what we see in this moment, is very strong on the charge. I don't know if Urubatan Jr. will be able to defend this lead, but of course we have to trust in Urubatan's ability in order to defend a position. It will be interesting, and I would say that in this middle sector, the chances of Marcelo Tomassoni are good. And apart from that, in the beginning of the main straight as well, Sergio.
Yes, he's getting closer and closer. Marcelo Tomassoni, the difference is under 0.3 of a second. So it's a great battle going on there. Christian Moore is right behind these two cars. Then way behind Christian Moore, look, Christian Moore there. Christian Moore is still around 1 second actually behind Marcelo Tomassoni, but way behind them is Antonio Junqueira. Antonio Junqueira almost 2 seconds behind Christian Moore in fourth. We see there the difference. It's even more than 2 seconds right now. The difference is huge between third and fourth place. And look at Marcelo Tomassoni on the inside. Will try to get the position from Urubatan Jr. And Marcelo Tomassoni is back to the top in Interlagos. He gets the position from Urubatan Jr. He was perfect there, Carlos, and he is now first position. And I would say it will be hard for Urubatan Jr. to get this position back, although it's not impossible. He goes side by side, but Marcelo Tomassoni was showing better speed before that. Let's see again the overtake.
It's interesting that Urubatan couldn't even defend himself because Marcelo Tomassoni was way faster in the end of the straight.
Urubatan lost the position to Christian Moore as well, Carlos.
That's it. Yeah, we have to wait and see the replay, but it is in the middle sector of the Interlagos track. Interesting, because Christian Moore wasn't that close of Tomassoni and Urubatan. So let's see if Urubatan will have a big drop in terms of race pace. There we see.
This was battle for the second position. Christian Moore getting second place. Christian Moore started in third. Urubatan Jr. started in second. He led the way from the start, but now he's back to third position. So it's the worst position for Urubatan Jr. after we started the race. And Christian Moore is showing lots of strength. He was very strong last year, Carlos, and he'll try to get to Marcelo Tomassoni. Marcelo Tomassoni has to pay attention with that.
Yeah, I would say that these two, they are the main candidates for this title. And interesting that probably Christian Moore got close actually to Urubatan Jr. because of his fight, Urubatan's fight against actually Marcelo Tomassoni. And Tomassoni now under high pressure there of Christian Moore. Let's wait and see.
Yeah, last year, Marcelo Tomassoni finished third in the championship with Christian Moore right behind him. The difference was just 4 points between these two drivers. And the champion was Raijan Mascarello with Nelson Marcondes in second, but they are not here anymore. So they both went to the Carrera Cup category. So as you said, the battle this year, it's That's going to be between Marcelo Tomassoni and Christian Moore. Urubatán Jr. finished 5th last year, but he finished 20 points behind Christian Moore.
And just talking about that overtaking maneuver that we saw when Tomassoni passed Urubatán Jr., it was interesting because Urubatán tried to stay the outside in the first leg of the CNSs in order to try and get the racing line in the inside for the second leg, but Tomassoni was way faster, so he wasn't even able to position his car side by side with Tomassoni. Now they are close to each other. Interesting fight, and one more pack there of 3 cars.
There you see a nice battle. It's Zanon trying to overtake Mariotti. Zanon on the outside, and Miguel Mariotti stays there on the 7th position. There we have Miguel Mariotti with the Porsche number 21 behind him. Very close is Gustavo Zanon, and then Josimar Jr. And then behind them in 10th position already, Carlos, is Antonella Bassani. Remember, she was behind Malucelli. She got the position from Malucelli, and now she will try to get close to Josimar Jr. So after a rough start, she's starting to advance and get closer to the leaders. And
Yeah,
Josimar Jr., they both left Mariotti behind. So Mariotti now is in the 9th position ahead of Bassani.
Yeah, eventful race actually for Miguel Mariotti today. The whole weekend so far for him isn't that good. Also in the qualifying session, he didn't have such a good performance compared to the main drivers of the main sprint challenge class in this championship. But we all know, that he can perform a little bit better. But when you have such an eventful weekend, it's quite tricky. And there we see Antonio Junqueira, one of the good surprises. I don't know if surprise given the fact that he was very competitive in his previous series, but anyway, new to the series, to Porsche Cup Brazil, and already performing in a very high level. So that's definitely one guy to watch, not just in this weekend, but also in the season as a whole.
Yes, Antonio Junqueira, who started 6th, he's currently in the 4th position, but Sadak Leite is right behind him, trying to get close to him, Sadak Leite. So that's a battle we might see, and behind Sadak Leite is Junior Dinardi. There's still a little bit of a gap between the 3 drivers, but we still have over 10 minutes to go. And there we have number 15 of Arthur Ramos in the battle with Sang Joaquin. So it's Arthur Ramos and Sang Joaquin. It's the battle for the 13th position that we see right now. Sang Joaquin, he was rookie last year. Now he goes in the sport class. So he's a driver we also have to pay attention this year. Of course, he's not in the top drivers level, but he's definitely improving, Carlos.
Yeah, definitely. San Joaquin, also because of his particular name and the fact that he's Korean, is someone that we are always taking a look to. And of course, he's performing, actually improving quite a lot since his first participation in the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series. So definitely one guy to watch. And once more, I highlight this situation that we always have in this intermediate classes, that is the driving improvement, as we see Antonella Bassani on the chart there, Sergio.
Yeah, she's going after Miguel Mariotti. Great recuperation by Antonella Bassani. This is battle for 9th position. She's being fast. I think after she's getting confidence and she's going faster and faster, it will be harder for Mariotti to hold Antonella there. And if Antonella gets the position, Carlos, she still be able to get to Josimar Jr., to the guys ahead of her. She goes on the outside. Great work by Antonella Bassani. He will get the position. She gets the position from Miguel Mariotti. Right now she's in 9th. and she's going after Josimar Jr. He's already very close now to... Actually, this car is way behind number 51. It's not really a battle, but anyway, she's going to get closer to Josimar Jr. Let's follow her on board. Oh, problem. Too bad for Gustavo Zanon that he got a problem and you have to abandon the race.
Yeah, that's a shame. And we are talking about the rookie class champion of the last year in the Sprint Challenge Championship. So Gustavo Zanon now in a new class. Of course, his level of competitiveness is higher and higher and higher. But anyway, he didn't have luck this Saturday, at least in the first of the two races that we have in this opening round of the 2023 season. But definitely Gustavo Zanon is one guy to watch throughout the whole season, especially considering this sport class battle that is very interesting, not just in the Carrera Cup Championship, but also in the Sprint Challenge Championship, because we have a lot of good competitors, such as Antonio Junqueiras, Sadak Leite, Junior Dinardi, and Gustavo Zanon. I would highlight this for especially Sergio.
Yeah, that's Luis Souza. Luis Souza, who is also in the rookie class, was way behind. He was in 18th. When he had that only Lanzoni was behind him, but Lanzoni is way behind him. And there we see the leader. Marcelo Tomassoni, and behind him, Christian Moore. Marcelo Tomassoni is around 8/10 of a second ahead of Christian Moore, 7/8 of a second. He's in a very good situation right now with 6 minutes and a half, a little bit over 6 minutes and a half to go, plus 1 lap. And Urubatán Jr., Carlos, had a great start. Right now he's in third, over a second and a half behind second place Christian Moore.
Yeah, we have to remember that he started in close to this position, actually second, right behind Marcelo Tomassoni. So it isn't that good, but not a disaster as well for Urubatán Jr., even though that's a very similar situation to what we saw with Werner Neubauer. Started in a specific position there, was able to overtake and get the lead of the race, but eventually ended up losing the spot. And now not just for Tomassoni, but also for Christian Moore. Let's see if Christian Moore will have a consistent season this year as well, because he fought for interesting positions until the end of the last year's championship, even though, of course, he ended up behind Rajan Mascarello and, if I'm not wrong, Nelson Marcondes as well. But I believe that this series, at least these three names, they tend to be very competitive, and I would highlight Marcelo Tomassoni and Christian Moore especially.
We follow Marcelo Tomassoni. We see the good work from Marcelo Tomassoni. Now he increased his lead to over 1 second over Christian Moore. And Antonella Bassani, Carlos, the image doesn't show that, but she's right behind Josimar Jr. in the battle for the 7th position. I think that to be as the best she'll be able to get, considering that we are close to the end of the race. But it was a great work by Bassani, by Antonella Bassani, and as we have Sadak Leite. Too bad Sadak Leite, and he was in the 6th position. So that might be a position that Antonella might get as well, and Sadak Leite was already ahead of Antonio Junqueira, but now he lost the position.
And how loud are these cars, Sergio? We were talking about the new exhaust type that we have that comes from this Porsche Super Cup Championship, and it's interesting also to talk about the horsepower that is 991-2 cars of the Sprint Challenge Championship they have. It's around 450 horsepower, so it's quite a powerful car. And of course, it's nice from the public in the stands to hear, to listen to this roar of these engines.
Yeah, and Sadak Leite positioned himself right ahead of Antonella Bassani. You see there Sadak Leite, he's being able to open a little bit. Well, actually, he was ahead of Josimar Jr. Antonella Bassani is behind Josimar Jr. Sadak Leite was able to open a little bit over these two. And Antonella Bassani now battles with Josimar Jr. for the 7th position. And Sadak Leite is able to open a little bit. He fell that way behind, but now he's ahead of Josimar Jr. and he's opening the gap pretty much because Josimar Jr. clearly is slower. Let's see if Antonella Bassani is able to overtake him at the end of the main straight. Not this time. Not this time, but Antonella stays there with 2.5 minutes to go plus 1 lap. We see there Josimar Jr. Number 002 is Junior Dinardi. And Sadak Leite is trying to get closer to Junior Dinardi to recuperate some of the positions he lost. The detail now is to Célio Brasil. There he is. He's in the rookie class. Célio Brasil is 15th overall. It's a nice livery there for Célio Brasil, Carlos. It has his name is Brazil. We say it with an S. So he has the country's his last name, or at least the name he uses is the name of his country, and he has a livery with the Brazilian colors.
Yeah, I mean, a different style there. Yeah, it's not just the flag of the Brazilian country there above the car, if we can say so. It's a different design there, and I think that this livery is one of the most interesting ones in this Sprint Challenge Championship. Also, other highlight of the series, this livery battle, if we can say so. And of course, a lot of guys, they think they have the most interesting liveries, but that's up to the fans to decide.
Marcelo Tomassoni is going to start the season with a victory. It seems like that. You cannot say there is a winner before the checkered flag, but he's as close to that as it can be. Still 32 seconds to the end of the race. We will have at least 1 lap after he crosses the start-finish lap. We might have 2 laps depending when he crosses it there. And we see the detail there of car of Junior Dinardi. Oh, again problems for Sadak Leite. Sadak Leite again having problems. And now Antonella Tomassoni gets the position, Antonella Bassani, pardon me, gets the position from Josimar Jr. So Antonella Bassani gets the position from Josimar Jr. She's 7th now, and she might still battle with Sadak Leite, which is having problems. Carlos, the 2nd time he loses control of his car.
Yeah, not a good race for Sadak Leite so far. An eventful weekend for him as well. But anyway, I was going to highlight Antonella's experience, actually, the experience that she's getting in this round, because we were talking about how nervous she was prior to her debut in the Brazilian Porsche Cup Series, because, of course, the pressure that she has, the only female driver, young, 16 years old only, backed by Mobile. But anyway, it seems that in this race, she's starting to relieve herself from such a high pressure and battling, crashing. Happily, it wasn't a heavy crash there that she had with André Gaidzinski. But anyway, she's learning, and that process is very important for her to get calmer, not being so anxious before the races, and then she will be able to perform in such an interesting level that she has already shown in the go-karting categories and so on, a two-time finalist of the FIA Girls on Track program, and it seems Marcelo Tomazzoni will win.
Exactly, Marcelo Tomazzoni. This is the last lap. He's going for the checkered flag. Marcelo Tomazzoni finished third in last year's championship. He finished 9 points behind Raijan Mascarello. He's starting really well 2023, and he's going to win the first race of this year's championship for the Sprint Challenge Porsche Cup Brazil, and Marcelo Tomazzoni wins in Interlagos in the first race of the season. Second place goes to Christian Morden. Lubatan Jr. is third. The team is commemorating Marcelo Tomazzoni's win. Antonio Junqueira gets a great fourth place after a great race. Then we have Junior United, Sadak Lady, Antonella Massagna, great seventh place. Josimar Jr. in eighth. And then we should have Miguel Mariotti in ninth, it's confirmed, and Ramon Alcaraz rounding the top 10. So again, a great race to start the season of the Porsche Cup E6 Bank MasterCard. So we'll have more tomorrow. Stay there. Still have the podium. We'll have the commemoration for Marcelo Tomazzoni. We have his interview with Renata, but tomorrow, just for you to know, we'll have the races starting at 2 p.m. Around 2 p.m. We'll be here, Carlos Costa and I, to show you the second race of the weekend, of this weekend, for both Carrera Cup and Sprint Challenge. And a great victory by Antonio Junqueira, Carlos, who won in the sports class.
Yeah, definitely. That was a very nice debut for Antonio Junqueira. He used to race in the GT Sprint Race series that is now NASCAR Brazil. Now, after one participation in the Endurance Championship, he makes his debut with a very good result, a class win in the sport class of the Sprint Challenge Championship ahead of Junior Ginatti and Sadaki Leite. We're talking about how eventful Sadaki's race was, but he was able to get this P3 in his class. And Célio Brasil with his interesting Brazilian car, winning the rookie class there ahead of Isao Salmi, Souls and Lanzoni. But anyway, judging by what we saw today, Sergio, we can expect good actions and good races tomorrow, because it was throughout the whole day, considering that we have the Carrera Cup qualifying session postponed to today's morning because of the heavy rain that we had yesterday afternoon. Since the beginning of the morning here in Brazil until the middle of the afternoon today, a lot of action, interesting actions actually, from the qualifying sessions until these two races that we had right now. And of course, we have to thank the fact that we didn't have rains today, especially this afternoon, at least so far, because they were able to race fiercely, compete for positions, even with elbowy attitudes by some drivers, but always clean. And even though we had some penalties, it was a clean day so far, I would say. Of course, we will have another practice session for the Trophy Challenge Championship that we won't be broadcasting. But anyway, we have to praise Marcelo Tomazzoni's race, especially his resilience, such as did Nicolas Costa in the Carrera Cup Championship. He lost the lead position after starting from pole position, and then he was able to recover the lead of the race in order to win, and he has celebrated a lot, as we see there Antonio Junqueira celebrating as well. And I am sure that with Célio Brasil it won't be different. Sergio.
Yes, Antonio Junqueira, his first victory in the Sprint Challenge. It's in the sports class. Then we see on the left side the car from Célio Brasil, Apparently, Célio Brazil is still inside the car. And I was telling that the races tomorrow start at 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. Brazilian time. It will be 5 p.m. GMT or 12 noon US Eastern Time. So be sure to tune here in our English channel, YouTube channel for Porsche Cup Brazil to follow these races. The very, very competitive championship. I promise you, if you're watching us for the first time, this is a great championship. We have 9 rounds overall. It's 6 rounds for the sprint championship, and then 3 rounds for the endurance races. And the endurance races, alongside the regular drivers for the sprint championship, we have some of the top drivers in Brazil. And look at Antonio Junqueira, Carlos Costa. He really needs some help there. It must have been hot inside his car.
Yeah, definitely. Inside the car, it is very hot indeed. We also saw Marcos Índio there right behind Antonio Junqueira, one of his friends from other series. And of course, it's very, very tiring. Of course, the driver gets out of the car uh, with these hot temperatures, almost completely wet, even though he has the overall there. But anyway,
Chegou seu dia.
it's time to
Chegou,
celebrate,
Marcelo
and let's
Tomassoni.
hear
Que
from
final de
Renata Diniz
semana.
interviewing Marcelo Tomassoni.
A gente batalhou muito, o carro estava muito legal, o Biratella super bem por fora, me deixou a perna de fora ali, tive que baixar a adrenalina, falar, cara, a gente tem carro, vamos buscar, vou dando certo. Tudo também, acho que vai ser um ano sensacional, mas é muito bom trabalhar tanto e ter muito trabalho, na verdade, muita paixão. E é isso, estou muito feliz.
É um marco agora, é um novo momento.
Vamos começar tudo daqui para frente.
Parabéns, Marco.
Obrigado.
Vai pro pódio agora. Luque?
Yeah, we had some issues there with Marcelo Tomassoni's interview, but anyway, he was saying that the hard work pays off. He was a little bit nervous right after race start because of the fact that he lost the race lead, but anyway, he controlled his adrenaline. He knew that he had a good car in order to try and get back to the race, the lead of the race actually, and then that's it. The result came and he has to celebrate a lot. The podium will begin shortly.
Yes, and it's interesting the driver's point of view, Carlos. What you said, that he mentioned that he thought, I have to be patient. He lost the first position right at the beginning, the first turn, pretty much. And no, I have a better car, or I believe I'm a better driver, whatever is the case, or it can be both cases. And he had patience, because patience is everything. Of course, at certain point, you gotta be aggressive. In the first race in the Carrera Cup, we saw Nicolas Costa being very aggressive in his battle with Werner Neubauer. He was clean, but very aggressive. In this case, we saw Marcelo Tomassoni. Of course, he had to be a little bit of aggressive, but he was patient because he knew he got a better car, and he ended up finishing a second and a half ahead of Christian Moore, but 5 seconds and a half pretty much ahead of Rubatan Jr., who was the driver who he had to battle for the first position. There we see the detail of Antonella Bassani in the Mobile sponsored car. She was fighting Miguel Mariotti. At this point, I believe it was the battle for the 8th position, but fact is that Antonella Bassani ended up in 7th after an eventful start for her. She had a touch with another competitor, but she ended up finishing there in the 7th position after starting in 12th, Carlos. So it was a very good race indeed for her.
Yeah, definitely. And apart from gaining some spots there overall, she finished fourth in the class. So already a podium for her. Of course, we have a podium with 5 drivers, and we have 6 drivers in the main sprint challenge championship, the main sprint challenge class, actually. But Miguel Mariotti, for example, is way more experienced in the series than Antonella Bassani, obviously. So she has to celebrate. And of course, the main focus, I believe, was to get rid of that anxiety, the fact that she was too nervous before this debut. And anyway, she could fight for positions there, even touching André Gaidzinski. But anyway, it's nice to see her debut, only 16 years old driver, and now we see the podium of the main sprint challenge class.
There we have Antonio Junqueira. I believe this is the main podium, Carlos.
Yeah, the
You have
overall
it there.
podium.
Yeah, that's the overall podium. Because the reason that Antonella didn't get the podium is that the overall podium goes to all the drivers. So first was Tomassoni, then Christian Moore. We see there Christian Moore with his daughter, and then Marcelo Tomassoni. With the blue and red uniform, it's Urubatan Jr., and behind them is Junior Dinardi. That was, and this driver here, way to the left, is Antonio Junqueira, who finished fourth. So these were the top 5 drivers overall in the race. This is Antonio Junqueira, who actually, as you very well pointed, Carlos, had a very good start in his participation in the Porsche Cup.
Yeah, thinking in the whole sprint challenge championship, the main class, the intermediate division that is the sport one, and also the access category that is rookie class, I would say that he's the main highlight actually to after this race that we had this Saturday, because he's new to the series and he was able actually to compete with the guys from the upper class, if you can say so. So finishing ahead of Junior Ginardi, even Antonella Bassani, and Miguel Mariotti, it was nice for him. And we have to consider that he got an overall podium, as you very well pointed. So we can expect good things from this guy, especially after he fully adapts to this Porsche 991-2 car of the Sprint Challenge Championship. And now we see the podium of the sport class.
Yeah, we see Antonio Junqueira on the top of this group. Gaining second, we had Junior Dinardi. Tadaki Leite there, we see raising his trophy. That's Junior Dinardi. He was second place. And then Antonio, watch out, Antonio Junqueira. Don't let this trophy break. On the ground. On the ground. But anyway, they're all commemorating. It's a very good end to the race. And now these guys, Carlos, have to rest, because it's not a small effort in this warm weather to race these cars. And tomorrow they will have to be prepared for more racing.
Yeah, one cannot be confused by the overcast weather that we had this Saturday at Interlagos, because even though we have a lot of clouds, even with a bit of rain in the final part of the qualifying session earlier today, the temperatures are quite high. We brought the temperatures always above 23 degrees Celsius, even more. So inside the car it gets very, very hot, and depending on where you are in the Interlagos paddock, you have no wind or something like that in order to prevent yourself from suffering with the heat. But anyway, they are very happy with their podiums, and I'm sure that they will be able to deal with this hot weather with no problems, even though, of course, now it's time for champagne and so on in order to refresh yourself, as we see Walter Lester also new to the series there with the all-white car, because he got to this grid right before this weekend. But anyway, nice round. I believe that we can expect good things for tomorrow's races, not just in the Sprint Challenge Championship, but also in the Carrera Cup Championship as well. Sergio.
Yes. Tomorrow, Sunday, don't forget to tune with us here at the YouTube Porsche Cup Brazil YouTube channel. In our English transmission, we will be airing the showing first the second Carrera Cup for this weekend. It's starting at 2 p.m. and then we will have, following that, we will have the Sprint Challenge, the second race for the Sprint Challenge. All this in the first round. And now we have the rookie class. As I said, we have 5 rookie drivers. 4 of them are right there. And the winner was Célio Brasil. There he is.
Levantem todos os troféus, levantem os troféus. Os aplausos de vocês da categoria Rookie.
And only 4 drivers in the podium because the other driver of the class, he retired the car. So that's why we don't have the 5th of the podium of the rostrum there.
Second place was Israel Salman, then Luis Souza, then Lanzoni. There you have the details of the Eric Santos car. What a battle for Eric Santos. They have Ramon Alcaraz being overtaken by Antonella Bassani. It was a great race. I liked both races, Carlos. I think actually the Carrera Cup was more action-packed as there was a big battle between the top 4 drivers. But this race, it had battles for the first position, and it also has battles in some positions behind, and we had a great recuperation race by Antonella Bassani. We had an eventful race for Sadak Leite, who had a couple of problems and then was able to recuperate. So it was a nice Saturday of racing overall.
Yeah, completely agree. The midfield battle of the Sprint Challenge race that we had today was very, very nice. Even though in the Carrera Cup Championship we had more position battles in the top 4, especially considering there Nicolas Costa, Marcel Miller, Miguel Paludo, and Werner Neubauer. But we also have to praise Marcelo Tomazoni because he lost the lead position and was able to overtake Little Batan Jr. that eventually lost ground there to Christian Born. But anyway, throughout the whole field, very nice race that we had in the Sprint Challenge Championship and also in the Carrera Cup Championship with that spectacular fight that we have for half a lap almost between Costa and Neubauer. Sergio.
So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching, for being with us. In my name is Sergio Lago, in Carlos Costa's name, and in Porsche Cup Brazil's name as well. Thank you, and see you. Bye-bye.